Welcome, everyone. So happy to see all your nice smiling faces. So I'll go into a little bit about me more than just my name and title. So Jane Stimmel, Engagement Manager at Harrah's Auction Casino. I've worked there since 1994. By the way, I started when I was 10. I have to cover up these grays, and it gets harder and harder to do. So actually started as a beverage server, serving beverages in our poker room and on the casino floor. Moved up in the food and beverage area and was a trainer and creating materials, processes for new hires. So the onboarding process for operations, and did that for about 4 months. So 2 years and 4 months in, I got a job as a trainer. The trainer left and went to open a new property. So that was exciting for me. And I've been in HR ever since. So I've dabbled in training, development, employee relations, and now I have all of those pieces. In addition, I also have the HDS, which stands for Harrah's Development System, which is our Auction Indian Community Program to develop our community leaders. And that's been an exciting program. We're actually just starting our summer youth program in a couple of weeks here. We have 12, I think, coming to see us and working in our hospitality areas. So looking forward to talking to you today about retention, and I'm going to have Vanessa kick us off.
All righty. All right. Hi, everybody. So a little bit about myself and my career with Harrah's / Caesars Entertainment. I started over 8 years ago as an on-call Total Rewards representative, which is our loyalty brand card. If anybody does anyone have a Caesars card? One person, 2 people. Okay, 3. I feel like I'm in an auction now. Okay, 3. Awesome, awesome. So hopefully you are taking advantage of those benefits, and thank you for supporting our business. So I was with Total Rewards for about 2 years, and then was promoted to a division of human resources called Continuous Improvements and Operational Excellence. That's a long word. I know. We have a lot of fancy titles around here. So I was there for a good 4.5 years, and then 2 things happened. 1, we were purchased by Eldorado Resorts, and 2, COVID. So we weren't quite sure what my role, I handled customer service. We weren't sure what my role would entail with the merger. So I spent some time with our environmental cleaning services department, a good, 2 years almost with them, and then made my way back to my HR family as the recruiter, and I absolutely love it. I love my job. I love everything that it entails, challenges and successes and whatnot. So thank you for having us today. All right, so recruiting, hiring, and retention the Harrah's Auction way. Let's talk about that. All righty. Awesomeness happens here. That's a vinyl that we have in our hiring office. I love that sign because to me, it can mean so many different things. We're in the entertainment business, so we always have a lot of fun. We try to entertain our guests. We're pretty awesome, I think. What about you, Jane?
Yes.
Awesome. All righty. So how the hiring process starts. It starts firstly with our Oracle platform. A candidate will go onto our website, apply for the role, create their profile, and we will get a message to work that job requisition. I handle those each day along with my team. We have some qualifying questions that have to be asked in order to be eligible to apply for a role at Harrah's. The biggest one being, have you ever been convicted of a felony? Unfortunately, due to our gaming bylaws, we're unable to employ anyone that's been convicted of a felony, but at least if they answer that question, it kind of takes the place of that, and we can move forward with our qualifying candidates. Those who are in a back of house role, such as housekeeping or environmental services, that have qualified questions answered are moved forward to the department for their interview status process. At that point, the department can contact the applicant and invite them to come in for an interview. Alrighty, so that's our back of house process, and now I'm going to talk about our front of house process. Alrighty, so there's a few different avenues that our candidates can go depending on what roles they are applying for a front of house position. A front of house position is any guest-facing position. So our line level roles get to participate in a front of house panel. They are contacted to come on a certain day. Typically, we have them at Tuesdays now at 10 o'clock. The candidates are invited to participate. It focuses on customer service and personality. We don't talk 1 ounce of what their skill set is, right? Keeping in mind that we are in the entertainment business. We could teach them a skill, right? We can't always teach them personality. Some people throughout the process of the front of house panel realize that they don't want to people. It's not for them. I'm getting a nod over here. It's not for them. They're not ready for it. Maybe they want to build on that communication skills and engaging our guests. So those who do have a great time are moved forward to the department at that time for an interview. A few of the things that we do for the front of house panel is we focus on our family style service initiatives with each activity that we do. So for example, our first activity is based on be proactive. What we will do is we'll pair them up with people that they don't know anybody, and we give them a few minutes time to get to know each other. We'll have them come back, and then automatically they're right in it. They have to introduce their new best friend, talk about everything that they've learned, so on and so forth. This is a great way to determine whether or not your candidate is open to having conversations with strangers. And in the world of retail, we do it all the time, right? Okay. The other two components that we utilize is make it fun. In that one, they will act out a scene from their favorite movie or tell us a dad joke. Dad jokes are very popular right now, so we have a lot of fun with that. The third one is own the experience, and that one really hones in on customer service. They will be given a card. It will have a scenario on it, and then they'll sell that item to the whole group. So based off of that, we can see what kinds of words they're using when they're describing the product, how engaging they are with the customer, which would be the whole group. So those are some of the things that we do. Again, we don't know their skill set. The leaders who come in for this panel have no idea what anyone is applying for. So they're really honing in on delivering that service, getting to know them, and seeing if they're a good fit for our culture. So something that's a little different than the average come in, interview, and get the job. All right, I'm gonna grab some water real quick. So our leadership, thank you. Our leadership roles are a little different. We just got done changing the name from leadership panel to leadership screening interview, as the scope of how that's done has changed throughout time. So if we have somebody who is applying for a leadership role, then they would go through a different process. This process focuses on determining how they would do in a coaching session, or what information they're going to give to a team in what we call a buzz session, which is like a pre-shift huddle or a 5-minute meeting. How that information is relayed. How do they respond to negative comments, or a team member who is not going with the team plan, or maybe, not doing what they're supposed to be doing. So during that, we'll go through some coaching scenarios. And then we also give them a list of our values. And we ask them to put those values in order of importance to them. The reason why we do that, right? The reason why we do that is because we want to see their reasoning in how they do it. There's no wrong answer in that, but being able to be given some information as to the why really helps in that process. Our leadership roles are very administrative. Because we are Caesars Entertainment as well, there's a structure to that. So this enables us to see that and see what potential they may have. Any questions so far? No? Awesome. Where do we sign up? I'll give you my card. All right, so once each person, front of house and leadership, completes that portion, then they're moved on to the department as well. We task our departments with responding to any candidate within 7 days of them passing either one of these processes. That is our commitment, and that's the commitment from our leaders. Some of our departments have a two-step hiring process. One would be the general interview process, and then the second could be a live job preview. This way the candidate can better understand what their future role may entail. It also gives us the opportunity to see that candidate on the floor or wherever they may be in that environment. One thing to say about the casino industry is that it's not as easy as everyone thinks it to be. We're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We never closed. The only time we did was during a world pandemic. So aside from that, we're up and running. We're entertaining. All right. Okay, so what is it that candidates are looking for? Like, we all know there are certain things: competitive salaries, flexibility with work-life balance, career advancement, stability. The last one, is my job impactful? This one has come up with us for at least 2 years now and has become probably, for some of our candidates, higher than competitive salaries. They want to work for a company that prioritizes social responsibility, right? They want to be able to go out and do those things, volunteer for events, and they want to contribute by participating in philanthropic and environmental efforts that positively impact the community and are attracted to employers that support these initiatives. So how many of you here have a team and you do volunteer work? Okay, a few of them. And what's your favorite?
One of my favorite is feeding the homeless at Stimmel.
Okay. And how is that impacting the team that you go to those events with?
It's actually a very humbling experience. It gives all of us who have more than some the opportunity to see those who have less and know how much we are impacting them. And the meals we serve may be the only meal they get that day.
Mm-hmm.
And to know that these people are living on the streets, some of them by choice,
Right.
But living on the streets, and we are providing them with a meal they need.
Right.
So it's very impactful and it's very humbling.
Do you feel that your team enjoys the work that they do after participating in an initiative like that?
Oh,
Yeah.
So.
Right? It's a little bit of work on our part to find these activities to do, but it definitely feeds the soul, for sure. All right, so thinking about making an impact, because a candidate could be hired, they could do their job each day, but do they feel fulfilled? Maybe, maybe not. A lot of the youth of today that's getting into the workforce, this is their bread and butter. They want to make an impact. So some of the examples of what Harrah has done in the past: highway cleanups, food bank packing events, feed my starving children. Has anyone done that? It's a lot of fun. A lot of fun. All right, Pat's Run, making strides, Heart Walk, Veggies for Veteran, and we have our own initiative called Code Green that emphasizes on environmental efforts. Some numbers here. In 2022, our property donated over $90,000. So we have a little over 800 employees. Most of those funds come from our line level employees. They do it because they love it. It's one of the reasons why they continue to stay with Harrah's. Let's see here, over 4,000 volunteer hours. We just switched to a new system, so it's probably a little higher than that. But we do that annually. And they do it of their own time. So definitely, if you have not considered doing anything like this for your team, could be considered a team building effort as well. I would highly suggest it if you haven't gotten into it. Just like you said, it's very, very rewarding, and it helps promote people staying where they work. Alrighty, any questions? No? Okay. Go to the next slide.
And one thing that I would add to that is that one thing that is unique about us is that we ask our team members like to give back to, and we get involved in their causes. So if they say, hey, I'd like to do the National Coalition of Ovarian Cancer, we get on board, we donate water, we provide a donation. And so a lot of those hours are from those getting involved. We have a team, the Saguaros, who participate in a 60-mile walk over a 3-day period. And we've just had a bake sale, and they, I think it was $1,300 that they raised in one day for a bake sale. And so it's ways that we can support and give back to them.
Right. And all of the baked items were contributed by our team members. So, you know, just as our family style service suggests, we are a big family of over 800 and whatever. So yeah, those things are important. So I think it could be just as impactful regardless of the size of the business. All right. So getting into utilizing your tools for success. Utilizing sites such as Indeed and Facebook to post jobs and create visibility are essential in today's hiring processes. That is very, very true. It can be intimidating. Even though we have our own marketing department that helps us occasionally, we are still responsible for most of our own marketing when it comes to employment. I've used Indeed a lot. Eventbrite, we just got done using Eventbrite. I like that one. Has anyone used Eventbrite? Okay, great. I love that it gives me that statistical data at the end, and I can see how many people actually have clicked or viewed and use that in my analysis. TikTok is up there. I personally don't have a TikTok. My daughter wants me to get TikTok. Any of you have TikTok or like TikTok addicts? No, that's okay. One, that's okay. Utilizing TikTok in today's hiring efforts is a huge advantage. You're reaching a whole new demographic that you may not have reached by just doing an online ad. So something to consider. You could even get your employees to create TikToks so you don't have to be in front of the screen. But yeah, TikTok, super possible. Yes?
Being in casino and all of the things that you need to have secure,
Mm-hmm.
aren't you concerned about using TikTok?
Mm-mm. No, because it all depends on what you're filming. So there are certain areas of the casino that is an absolute no, right? But there are areas outside. A lot of times, what's that? No, like we have a company, or our corporate offices have their own that they take care of, so they're responsible for all that. But yes, I understand your concern. It can be, but I think it all depends on how well you educate yourself with that. It seems you're quite educated on that, and how you utilize it. So, but yes, TikTok is everywhere. All right.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yes.
So do you use keywords when you use Indeed and Eventbrite?
You know,
are there certain things that you use to attract people, or is
that's
it
a great
casino,
question.
or is it just
So it all just depends. Frankly, the biggest keyword that's being used right now on any of these sites is blank. Everybody wants to see everything that they can at the same time. So, which is very interesting. If you just hit blank on Indeed, and you'll get all of those jobs in your area, and you can see that. That took me by surprise. Most recently, we had a meeting with Indeed to talk about all of that. Other ones that are coming up first is salary. So blank, salary, and then getting into more descriptive things. So it is very interesting that blank, leaving it blank and hitting enter would be number one, right? Because somebody would want to put a keyword in there. However, for us, casino would be a keyword. Caesars Entertainment would be another one. Harrah's Auction. Maricopa would be another one for us. But mostly, the most successful keyword is blank. Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was interesting too. So, any other questions? No? Doing good on time? All righty. How do we optimize the candidate experience? So there are some strategies that can be used in the hiring experience. For us, developing our brand, right? Number one, if they don't know who you are, why would they want to work for you, right? So some ways that we have developed our brand and examples of things how we've utilized it. Where am I? is our National Day of Hiring. We utilized Eventbrite to create a marketing piece to go out for National Day of Hiring. That is a day where all of our Caesars properties are hiring simultaneously across the brand. So if you have multiple locations, that's something that you can do for both of your locations at the same time, or however many you may have. Promote it as an exclusive event, and you're going to get those people that are looking for that, something special, right? Some of the other things that we've used to develop our brand is creating a testimonial video. We have just created one, and we use that for our National Day of Hiring. Very simple. You're just recording what people say and how they feel about where they work. Why is it important to them? Okay. Alrighty. Using social media, I kind of went into that a little bit with the previous slide. We use Facebook a lot. One, it's free. No one wants to pay, right? And two, right, if we don't have to, why pay if you don't have to, right? And two, it goes out to everybody, right? If you want to see it, you see it. If you don't, you just move on to the next post. Another thing that we've done for us, because we have a large property, is we have had themed job events as well as mini department hiring events. So if you find that your business is lacking in a particular role, then create a hiring event geared toward just that role. Gives it a little more exclusivity, right? Like they're like that one, but I can't interview for that one. Well, we'll still take them, but they're coming in for that particular role. Another thing that we've done is we have created a Jobs in Java hiring event. And that was done on an early Saturday afternoon. We provided coffee and donuts, promoting our Dunkin' Donuts outlet, and invited people to come in to interview for any of those roles that they're interested in with on-the-spot interviews. So that one was really successful. Ensuring the job description clearly states the expectations of the role. I put that one in bold because for me, as a hiring recruiter, that is the most important thing to take away, right? We create a job description, we put all their tasks in there, try to figure out how to promote this. Sometimes it can get wordy. Keeping it clean and simple is the key. That's something that we are working on ourselves. If you've ever looked at any one of our job descriptions, it can be pretty lengthy. And for us, there's a couple of reasons why. One of them being that piece can then become our accountability piece in case there's any corrective actions or in case we're trying to identify a candidate that best fits that role. People usually look at a job description for 14 seconds before they decide whether or not they want to apply. That's not a whole lot of time. No. So I would venture to guess even for some of our people, they've kind of bypassed it and gone on to the next thing. So job description, very, very, very important. Keep it simple and think about that 14 seconds. Alrighty, simplifying and improving the interview process. That is also something that we will review continuously, trying to make sure that our hiring process doesn't waste anybody's time, but is impactful, and as employers gives us the information that we need. For us, having that front of house panel lets us know what their personality is going to be like. Like you can look for cues and clues, right? Somebody says, that's not my wheelhouse, I'm not going to perform, or I don't tell jokes. It's like, okay, well, maybe you're not best suited for a position that you have to create extraordinary experiences with our guests each day. So simplifying that process to ensure that what you are doing benefits you and the applicant. Okay. And then lastly, showcasing the benefits of employment. I'm not gonna lie, we have a lot to offer our potential team members. Competitive wages, signing bonuses, health, vision, dental, we have pet insurance, 401ks, life insurance, community involvement. That's where we were going back and talking about volunteer efforts. Leadership development, we absolutely love to hire from within we're a perfect example of that. Opportunity for advancement, fun family working environment. We care. We have our Harris family, and we support each other. My biggest one today is our all-in on education. $5,250 annually goes towards education and education debt relief for our full-time team members. So it does not have to be related to the casino industry. That used to be the norm, and that's gone right out the window. We have had that for almost a year now, and I would say in December they had already paid out over $1 million in education services for our employees. We do this because we feel that if you're continuing to educate yourself, even though you're taking that risk that you're going to leave the company, you're still very loyal to the brand because of the experience that they've gotten. So that's a lot of the feedback we've received. We also have a benefit for our part-time employees, which is half of that amount. So a lot to be had. And it could be simple things, you know, it doesn't have to be on this large scale. When we talk about competitive wages, one of the barriers that we face in the casino industry is that it's a blessing and a curse, right? We have a lot of properties that are upping those rates, and I don't know if you've ever looked into it, but housekeepers can make $20 now at property XYZ. They're tapped out though, right? They're at their max for that salary grade. So I don't know if that person's gonna get a raise in a year or two or what have you. For us, we do take all of those things into consideration when looking at our competitive wages. We are right within for our area for wages. But yeah, I think with anyone, how many of you have heard somebody say can get paid more somewhere else, right? So you know that that's the reality of it. So what can you do to go around that? You provide them with benefits, provide them with volunteer activities, listen to them. Huge key is communication. So all of that goes in when thinking about hiring and recruitment. The point is to grow old together, right? You want that employee to be with you till they retire. That's the dream, right? That you are supporting them enough that come whatever, they want to stay with you. So if they see those competitive wages somewhere else and say, you know what, I could be making $3 more an hour easily, but I don't want to because I like where I'm at. And that's the key, right? We're all together. All right, that's me. Thank you. Do you have any questions? Yes, and then we'll go there.
When you talk about the competitive wages,
Mhm.
saying we can make $3 more an hour, whatever. Do you ever kind of structure something to say, well, okay, yes, but here's how we could get you to
Absolutely.
that thing?
Absolutely. So when I do a weekly front of house panel, there's a Q&A afterwards, and we talk about those things, and I'll point out, okay, so when you're looking at a job that you can get, please look at the benefits fully and see what they can offer to you. Because one may not offer dental, right? And only offer vision. Or if you're looking for long-term care, maybe that's the win to forego the extra $3 an hour. So I feel like the candidates also have to do their part, right? Like we have it available to them, but they're the ones who need to really do that research to make an informative decision. Yes.
You were talking about using social media to attract people.
Mhm.
A lot of employers, I'm wondering if your corporation does the same, use it to filter candidates. In other words, I saw what you posted. I don't think you're going to work out for us.
Right. And I think with most companies, and we have an acknowledgement form that we sign as well, that says basically, watch what you're posting on the internet. It goes everywhere. For us, it speaks to their character, right? It also speaks to integrity, and that's a big thing. So yes, there are times where we have had to think about that.
And it also speaks to your brand.
Yes.
That's, you're protecting your brand.
Absolutely. So yes. Anyone else? Good. All right, Jane. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, before I begin, I'd like you to have nothing in your hands. And I'd like you to put your both arms out like this in front of you. Maybe scoot back just a tad. And now I'd like you to cross your arms how you normally would. Okay, comfortable? Now I'd like you to do that again and do it the opposite way. There's some issues in here. How'd that feel that time? Weird. Everyone's like awkward, right? So I'd like you to think about that as, you know, Vanessa and I've shared with you some new tidbits, some opportunities of growth, some learning, right? And if you could take one thing and do it differently, it might take some time, but in time, you'd be able to cross your arms the same way with that habit, right? If you were to do it over and over again. So what do you feel impacts turnover? Yes, please, sir.
Not having expectations.
Excellent. Yeah, number one driver of performance is clear expectations. There's been studies on that. If I don't know what's expected of me, I can't perform. Good. What else? What else impacts? Is it Daryl? Did I remember that?
Not feeling appreciated.
Not feeling appreciated and valued, for sure. Any others that are high level for you?
Not part of the culture.
Not a part of the culture, absolutely, yes. So many things can definitely impact retention. And if I could ask you, what if you came in one day and in your office the computer had been stolen? What would you do? Woo, I get to go home. Your asset is gone. What would you do? Use the phone instead. What else would you do? Report it. Call the police, ask for surveillance, right? Write a report. Look, you know, ask your friends, is anyone else's computer? Is it just mine, right? So we'd be asking questions. Same thing if I asked you, you know, or told you that your team member is not here today or that they gave 2 weeks, what would you do?
If it's a better job, see what the opportunity to move up.
Okay. Might ask if for myself if I want to move up. Okay. Never speak to them again. You're upset. You're frustrated. You're probably going to fill the shift. Hey, I need someone. But is it safe to say that most of us would spend more time on that computer than that person giving notice, right? It's about understanding what impacts retention before it happens, right? So it costs anywhere between $2,500 to $4,000, probably more than that, in tangible and intangible costs, right? So if you times that by how many team members you've lost in the last year, that's a lot of money. I always tell our operators, I'd like to charge you $2,500 for that person you lost last week. It's going to hit your bottom line. As HR, I can't do that. However, it does make them think about, ooh, what could I be spending that money on, right? So why is retention important? As I was researching this topic, and this is something that we've shared with, oops, sorry, I'm going the wrong way. There we go. I'd like to backtrack on retention. All right, so as I was researching this, a Gallup poll reported 4 out of 5 people working for you right now would rather not be working. They're not involved. They're not enthusiastic about what they're doing. They're not committed to work. And why do we care? Disengaged workers produce less, so their productivity is not there. And they leave, of course, so that's the turnover. And companies and teams with largely disengaged workers underperform financially by more than 50%. Are you happy with that number? I know most of us would not be, for sure. So 24% are actively disengaged, 63% are not engaged at all. That's major, right? So when we think about the other impacts to retention, I'm not going to read this slide to you, but you can take a look at some of those ups and downs. But without employee engagement, there is no team engagement, right? Your teams are working together. Those individuals make up teams. And it makes it more difficult to get to your business need or business outcomes, whether it's sales, whether it's profitability, whether it's decrease in absenteeism. 81% in absenteeism. The 18% in turnover for high turnover organizations, 10% in customer loyalty and management, loyalty and engagement of your customers as well. So 70% of that variance in team engagement is determined solely by the manager. Have you heard that? People don't leave companies, they leave managers. One of the things that I would encourage all of you to look at is Simon Sinek. Anyone heard of him? Just you can Google him, go to his TED Talk. He talks about the start with why. Anyone heard of that video? Oh, a few of you. Awesome. So one thing he talked about in terms of hiring, it's not just about hiring people who need a job or who need a paycheck, right? It's about hiring those that believe what you believe. When Vanessa talked about the values from a value standpoint, I want to work with someone, I want to hire someone who believes in our values. I can train them on anything. But if they don't believe in our values, we're not going to be successful together. And that's what we find through our family style service values, through our company values as well. They will essentially put their blood, sweat, and tears, again, into your business when they believe what you believe. How many of you had a chance to read the article? A few of you have the copy of it, and I brought extra copies if you didn't have a chance to get that. What are some of the key insights that you got from the article? Here are the top kind of five pillars that it talks about.
Are you asking a question?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I think celebrating wins.
Yes.
When you have great wins.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for us, when we get a bunch of memberships in, like that's a big win for us.
Yeah.
So that's always good. So we, hey, we just did this, and it was great.
Celebrate it, absolutely, for sure. Thank you, Andy. What else comes to mind based on what you read? And if you didn't have time, that's okay. I know you guys are busy business owners. Please.
I didn't have time,
What's your name?
Christine.
Christine. Nice to meet you.
Sorry. I hadn't had a chance to actually read this, but I did staple these puppies to be fair.
Okay. Celebrate you.
For me and how I engage with the community, no matter where I go, who I meet, whatever it is that I do, I think the biggest thing that we've actually lost and that we're trying to find back is connecting the dots.
Yeah.
I think in 2020, I don't think it's ever going to leave our lips. Being the pandemic changed everybody in so many different ways. That connecting the dots seems a little more difficult, but it's so imperative when it comes to wanting to know what it is you're coming here to do, or having a dream of your own to know how do I do it. It's connecting it.
Absolutely.
That's my interpretation.
And I love that definitely speaks to Simon Sinek's start with why, right? It's being able to understand why we do the things we do, hire those people that also know why they're doing things that they, the meaningful work, right? Being valued for that meaningful work as well. So the article talks about when we can connect the dots or the why, their motivation and performance increases, right? It's easy to do. Feeling their job has meaning. The why that matters is to humans is connection. So working together to create those connections with your teams and to the other parts of the organization, each other. I find that through our community involvement or through team projects, that's a way to connect them even more. We also know studies have shown that connecting to a trainer, a sponsor, whatever you call it, that person that's the first person that they're trained by, that they, kind of lock arms with, go to lunch with, they train them, they ask them questions. That can be a good connection. So putting people first, it talks about people give the more they get. Achievement is a positive sum game. People feel like they're a part of something bigger than themselves. And can relax into a trusting relationship of genuine care, known as shared empathy. Rally against the goals, and that goes back to your point, sir. What's your name? Andrew. Thank you, Andrew. About expectations. If I know what is expected of me, I'm better to perform in that fashion. So achieving together is also bonding. So it's that connection that the article talks about. Challenges bonds teams. Ever had a challenge together? Work to meet it. Maybe you didn't always meet every single lap around the track, but you got there together, right? That creates those bonds. Celebrate the wins, as Andy talked about. It's shared joy. I love that phrase, shared joy. The celebrating hitting those targets, big or small. We know from Edward Thorndike's law of effect, what gets rewarded gets repeated. I say that probably every leadership class. What gets rewarded gets repeated. I can simply see someone who smiled at me and said hello in the hallway, and I will send them an e-card, and dang straight, the next time I see them, they're still smiling. They're probably smiling even bigger when they see me, because they felt appreciated and valued just based on a simple card that didn't cost me anything to send, right? And then we already talked about connect the dots. So it is about building those connections with your teams.
So do you have any suggestions on building those kind of connections when you're using remote for most of your staff?
I do have some, and that's on my next slide. I would say from a remote perspective, it is even harder. We only have a couple of team members who are currently fully remote. So I don't have as much experience with that in our organization, because everyone's, mainly in the office. They're coming to work. I can't have a beverage server, serving beverages from their house. So we have to be on property, but there are a couple. I think it goes back to what Andrew said, clear expectations. If I'm not clear about how and what your work looks like, I can't manage you, right? And you can't perform as well. So I think it starts with expectations. How do I work? How do I show up for Zoom calls? What does that look like for me? When do I start my day? When do I end my day? So a lot about that. So these are just a few, and I wish there was one silver bullet to say this impacts retention. This is your key, to it all. But I think it is a sum of many different things that can impact retention. And so we already said building connections, and those can be at the point of hire. I know for me, when I hire someone, I will call them periodically. Our licensing process takes anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks. It's ridiculous, right? In a gaming role, you're getting a gaming badge, and it takes a while. So connecting with them to say, I haven't forgotten about you, thinking about you, hopefully your license will be in a couple weeks, let me know if you need anything. So connect with them at the hiring process, right? Connect on their first day. That's a part of the onboarding, right? They always say the throw them to the wolves theory. That's not my theory. I hate it. Get away from all of that, right? Making sure that they have support the minute they join. Where do I go? How do I clock in? Where's my desk? Where are my tools? All of those things need to be talked about, and that comes down to the expectations. Effective trainers, I already mentioned that. That's what we call slideshow good, when I'm already covering information that's coming up on my next slide. But the trainers and the sponsors are key. We have a very robust trainer program. We send them to a 6-hour training to get certified to become a trainer. So they have to exhibit the 4-step training method in order to get certified. We want people that want to be a trainer, not someone that just is there, to get $1 extra an hour or whatnot. So it's very important that we certify our trainers, that they want to be there, that they're selected for that personality and those skills that we want our trainers to have. A 45-day check is always good. We actually, with COVID and some things with staffing, we haven't been doing this as thoroughly. I want to get back to it, and I've talked to a few operators that find it valuable. It's having HR send a survey, or even do it face-to-face, and asking us some simple questions about their onboarding, about their training in the department, about their trainer and their effectiveness. Was the job what they told you it was, right? So Vanessa talked to you about the live job preview. So they should be answering yes, right, to that question. So asking them questions to be able to really evaluate whether or not, they're happy with us, and again, that we're still happy with them. Monthly one-on-ones, it could be 15, 20 minutes where you sit down with your team member, and it really needs to be sit down. You can, work alongside them. Is it the same? You might not be able to have the same conversation if you were in the office just sitting down with them. And those of you that, how many of you have performance appraisals a couple times a year, 6-month, annual? If those are the only times they hear from you, is that going to be an issue? You haven't talked about expectations. You haven't celebrated wins. You haven't given them the tough feedback, right? So those monthly one-on-ones are then 12 checks over the course of the year that you're able to really connect with them. Coaching and feedback, that kind of goes along with what I've been talking about already. We train all of our leaders on how to coach. So there's a specific process for how to coach and how to connect with their team. Skip level meetings. So the manager meeting with 2 levels down. So if you have those supervisors reporting to you, talking to their team members about the leadership team is good to do. You can learn a lot from that. Listen and follow up. If do what you say you'll do. If you're listening to them, be really engaged in listening to them, and then maintaining that consistency. I already talked a little bit about the leadership development, engaging with leaders, engaging or with common values, of course, engagement activities, community involvement, which we already talked about earlier, and then the well-being. How many of you have well-being programs? Any of you in your businesses? Something to think about, right? Our mental health, now Simon Sinek wants to call it mental fitness, because it's just about working out, getting better. You're going to have good days and bad days, right? But it's being more fit to deal with the different things, all the things we're going through. And I'm sure you can think about those times where you've been there as well. So well-being programs, we have 3 a month that are webinars through our employee assistance program. How many have employee assistance programs with some of you? So find out what they offer. These programs, they're free. They're doing them on their own. We don't have to do anything. You just have to show up. So, and they're recorded. So if you can't necessarily attend one of them, you're definitely able to watch the recording. I know I talk a lot about Simon Sinek. I feel like he's my boyfriend or something. He is married, but there's another video that's super cool called "The Real Reason Employees Quit Their Job." It's about a 5-minute watch. It's definitely worth it. But really, he talks about empathy and perspective, and it goes back to that connection, the why that you talked about, Christine, and really putting yourself in someone else's shoes. Right? It's not sympathy, but empathy. Taking care of those in our charge, not being in charge as a leader, but taking care of those in our charge. Another person that I read and do podcasts, Cy Wakeman. Have you heard of her? No Ego is one of her books, but she talks about that leadership must manage energy. We don't manage people, we manage energy. So have you ever had someone that just drained and sucked the life out of you? You know who they are, that you pictured them. Yeah, right? She says managing the energy. If you allow negativity within your team, that's going to spread, right? It's going to spread to your best performers and you will lose them. So look her up too. She's amazing. Some of the other things, and this is just something that we provided to all of our leaders. We have so many different programs, different things that our leaders can use. I'm not going to go through it, but this is just an at a glance for various different areas, kind of high level topics, whether it be training, career development, hiring. And there's some links on this as well that we sent out to our managers after our retention program. And then I want to share one tool. So I am a Franklin Covey facilitator. I do 5 choices of productivity. I've done 7 habits in the past. But one of the things, have you ever heard of seven habits of highly effective people? So Stephen Covey's thing is seek first to understand, than to be understood. Have you heard that concept? It's about being able to, with the person you are with, stating to their satisfaction before sharing yours what they've shared with you. And in a moment, I'm going to actually ask you, get kind of comfortable in your seat. I'm going to ask you to hold your breath, okay? So when I count to 3 and say go, I'd like you to hold your breath while I share something about listening. Ready, set, go. Autobiographical responses get in the way of empathy. Empathy is a type of listening that requires heart, full attention, and respect. It is reflecting content and feeling. It's necessary in several instances when you need to get to the heart of an issue, when you want to diffuse an emotional situation. Okay, breathe. What did I say? I was too focused on my darn breathing, Andrew said. Nobody knows what I said? Trying to hold my breath? You did something about something. I did not say that, but you probably read that on my screen.
You did say heart, and I think hearing your ears.
Oh, you were right. Heart.
you.
I did not say ears, but I did say heart.
Okay.
Full attention. Yes. Good job. Good job. And some more empathy. Yes. So when we fail to listen to someone who wants to be understood, we fail to give them what's known as psychological air. Listening is the equivalent of giving someone air who is oxygen deprived. It meets a deep, profound need. Ever not felt listened to, right? You're like, they didn't get it. It went over their heads, right? So you know that you're listening when with empathy when you can accurately state another's viewpoint to their satisfaction. What are some things that you do to show you're listening? Eye contact, nodding, so nonverbals that you're getting it. Yes? Repeat or paraphrase back what they're sharing. Absolutely. Those are some things you can do. Phrases that keep them talking. So what you're telling me is, what I'm hearing you say, etc., right? So have you ever tried to manage a relationship like a project? How'd that go? Right. It's still on there. You're still working on it. So being efficient with things, but effective with people. With people, fast is slow and slow is fast. So that's a Stephen Covey too. Love that. With people, fast is slow and slow is fast. Oh, I'm going to coach Vanessa and I'm going to take 2 minutes to do it. What does it take usually to correct a behavior? Probably a 20-minute conversation potentially. So you think, oh, I'm going to do this real fast. Doesn't work that way, right? So think about listening with empathy. It can build trust and credibility. And ask, how are you doing both personally and professionally with the people in your lives? Where am I on time?
Mine says 43, but I know it's off
Okay.
by like 5 minutes.
So here's just an example of what not to do. So if someone says, I'm having trouble getting along with my supervisor, you can advise them, oh, it sounds like you have different personalities. Just sit down and talk to them. Did you really listen? No. Or you might say, did you use those skills you learned in training? Kind of condescending, right? you messed up the relationship with your supervisor. Maybe they were having a bad day. I know that's happened to me before. So now I'm interpreting, and from my own perspective, not from theirs. Or evaluating. I know some people can be that way. So you almost agree. Or maybe you misinterpreted what they meant. So now you're disagreeing with what they say. What might be a better way instead of doing all those horrible things? What do you mean? What has happened? Ask questions. Daryl, is that what you said too? Okay. So asking questions for sure. And this traffic light can definitely be a way to remind yourself. So stop and listen empathically. Set aside your own agenda. Focus on their thoughts and feelings, their body language that's happening, right? Slow down. Watch and be ready for when they're ready to share, or when maybe they're just ready to ask for your help at some point, right? use those paraphrasing. Tell me more. I'm listening. That must be hard. So what you're saying is, and then go forward. Green light, right? And you can say, what can I do? Sometimes they just wanted you to listen. They don't want you to do anything. Just being there to listen was enough. You what? You what? All right. So here's a simple way for coaching that I wanted to share with you. And it's 3 simple words: remind, recognize, and correct. And I'm not going to read the slide to you, but basically it's being able to, and as Andrew said earlier, going back to those expectations. If I can remind you what our expectations are, and this could be anything, a report that's due, using people's names today out on the floor. It can be any expectation, just simply reminding them, hey team, we're going to focus today on having fun. What ways can you do that? And getting them to participate. Recognize those small wins and big wins. Hey Andrew, I really enjoyed how you shared at the meeting yesterday about blah, 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 right? Thank you so much for doing that. So recognizing, right? And then correcting. Sometimes we have to correct behavior and it can't be a 20-minute conversation. So I might pull Vanessa aside to say, hey, Vanessa, you missed an opportunity to share some great things. They were talking about their anniversary. What might you have shared to make their experience even better? And she'd be like, oh, yeah, I could have, told them to go to our Oak and Fork wine bar, right? So it's being able to correct in the moment, on the fly, right? And if you're coupling that type of coaching with your one-on-ones and with your 2 times a year annual appraisals, you've talked to them how many times now? Probably can't count that high, right? So it's just a great way. Another Stephen Covey thing is use the 5-to-1 ratio. And this is deposits versus withdrawals. Anyone heard of the emotional bank account? So for every 5 deposits you make, there potentially could be 1 withdrawal. And that 1 withdrawal could be that corrective feedback. But if you've done your homework and they know you have your back by giving them 5 pieces of feedback that they did well, that 1 corrective won't make a huge difference. They'll be like, she's got my back. He's got my back, right? A couple of other tips worth sharing. One thing is a daily 5-minute check. You can simply say to your team when you first get in, how are you today? And be available to listen to the answer, not just walk on by. How's the team? And how can I help? Very simple. And be ready if they say, well, I need some help with this spreadsheet. I'm struggling with it. Or I need some help with this, this customer issue that just came across my desk today, right? So how are you today? How's the team? How can I help? With consistency, that can be super impactful. All right, I'd like to share with you, I've been talking a lot about Simon Sinek. I want to share you, and what time are we? Sorry. Okay. So this is it's the quickest 5-minute video, and it's so impactful. I have to share it because I can't do it justice. And I might have to come out of this, so hold on 1 second. Maybe not.
Do you love your wife? Yes. Prove it. Like, what's the metric? Give me the number that helps me know, right? Because when you met her, you didn't love her. Now you love her, right? Tell me the day that love happened. It's an impossible question. But it's not that it doesn't exist. It's that it's much easier to prove over time, right? Leadership is the same thing. It's about training. So if you were to go to the gym, it's like exercise, right? If you go to the gym and you work out and you come back and you look in the mirror, you will see nothing. And if you go to the gym the next day and you come back and you look in the mirror, you will see nothing, right? So clearly there's no results, can't be measured, it must not be effective. So we quit, right? Or if you fundamentally believe that this is the right course of action, and stick with it. Like in a relationship, I bought her flowers and I wished her happy birthday, and she doesn't love me. Clearly, I don't love me. That's not what happens. If you believe commit something there. You commit yourself to active service. You commit yourself to the regime, the exercise. You can screw it up. You can eat chocolate cake one day. You can skip a day or two. You know, it allows for that. But if you stick with it consistently, I'm not exactly sure what day, but I know you'll start getting into shape. I know it. And the same with the relationship. It's not about the events. It's not about intensity. It's about consistency, right? You go to the dentist twice a year, your teeth will fall out. You have to brush your teeth every day for 2 minutes. What does brushing your teeth twice a day for 2 minutes do? Nothing. Unless you do it every day, twice a day for 2 minutes. Right? It's the consistency. Going to the gym for 9 hours does not get you into shape. Working out every day for 20 minutes gets you into shape. So the problem is we treat leadership with intensity. We have a 2-day offsite, we invite a bunch of speakers, we give everybody a certificate. You're a leader, right? Those things are like going to the dentist. They're very important. They're good for reminding us or getting us back on track, learning new lessons. But it's the daily practice of all the monotonous, little, boring things like brushing your teeth that matter the most. She didn't fall in love with you because you remembered her birthday and bought her flowers on Valentine's Day. She fell in love with you because when you woke up in the morning, you said good morning to her before you checked your phone. She fell in love with you because when you went to the fridge to get yourself a drink, you got her one without even asking. She fell in love with you because when you had an amazing day at work and she came home and she had a terrible day at work, you didn't say, yeah, but let me tell you about my day. You sat and listened to her awful day and you didn't say a thing about your amazing day. This is why she fell in love with you. I can't tell you exactly what day, and it was no particular thing you did. It was the accumulation of all of those little things. That she woke up one day and it's as if she pressed a button. She goes, I love her. Right? Leadership is exactly the same. There's no event. There's no thing I can tell you have to do that your people will trust you. It just doesn't work that way. It's an accumulation of lots and lots of little things that anyone by themselves is innocuous and useless. Literally, pointless by themselves. People will look at little things that are good leadership practice and say, that won't work. And you're absolutely right. But if you do it consistently, and you do it in combination with lots of other little things, like saying good morning to someone, then looking into the eye. My friend George, who's a 3-star general in the Marine Corps, he says his test for leadership, and I love this, he goes, his test for good leaders, if you ask somebody how their day is going, you actually care about the answer. The number of times we're walking to a meeting, we're rushing, we go, how are you? Not good, I gotta get to you later, I gotta make for a meeting. If you ask the question, you are standing there and you are listening to the answer. It's those little innocuous things that you do over and over and over and over that people will say, I love my job. But I like my job. I like my job means, yeah, the challenge is great, they pay me well, I like the people. I love my job means, I don't want to work anywhere else. I don't care how much somebody else is willing to pay me. I'm devoted to the people here, and I care desperately about the people here as if they were my family. In business, we have colleagues and coworkers. In the military, they have brothers and sisters. That's how they think of each other. If you really have a strong corporate culture, the people will think of each other like brothers and sisters. I mean, it's like a family, right? No. Brothers and sisters. Deep love. Fight, but the love doesn't go away. Bicker, but love doesn't go away. And I'll fight with my sister, but if you threaten my sister, you're going to have to deal with me. Right? We'll fight internally. We'll bicker with each other. But nobody's going to hurt each other. And if anything from the outside shows up, you're looking at a unified front. Brothers and sisters. Now, how do you create brothers and sisters out of strangers? Common beliefs, common values. You know, parents, in other words, executives who care about their children's success, who care to raise their children, teach them skills, discipline them when necessary, help them build their self-confidence so that they can go on and achieve something more than you could have ever imagined achieving for yourself. That's leadership.
Amazing, right? He's so awesome. Love him. All right. So what we ask of you today is hopefully you've taken away a few golden nuggets. Make a commitment to yourself in terms of recruitment, hiring, and retention. What do I want to continue? What's going well in my organization that could impact retention? What as a department leadership team? So if you have others reporting to you, what can you do together to manage your team in terms of these topics? what will I need to improve or change? So one thing that you could do differently. Don't try to do them all at the same time, right? A little bit at a time. That's how we eat an elephant, one bite at a time. So make small changes and then review your practices ongoing. What's working, what's not working, make some adjustments accordingly. All right. Questions for me?
Very thorough.
Yes, Andrew?
So, in order to, let's say, I know it's different for you guys, but hire, let's say, 3 people, how many interviews would you have to go through in order to hire one person, let's say? Is it 10, 20, 40?
I think it depends on the department.
Yeah.
In the case of our back of house positions, we move them forward to the department automatically. So it could take one and a live job preview that could essentially be done on the same day.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So with our leadership, it's a multi-step process. So 1, 2, maybe 3, depending on their role. The third being having an interview with the director to kind of just seal the deal on that. But for us, it's the interview process is relatively quickly. Our opportunity is with our tribal gaming background. So
Yeah, it takes a while to get
Yes.
someone licensed. So a lot of those people will fall out. So, you know,
I'm,
if
I'm looking for the number or whatever statistic it is for the people that don't fall out. Because I've hired 3 people in 2 months and none of them have worked out.
none of
Yeah.
them started.
now I can say that, you know, it's 6 one, half a dozen of the other with us. Most recently, we have a 2-day new hire orientation, and then they go into the department to start their career. We've had 2 people within the last month that didn't make it to that department. They either left before their shift could start or just declined and went off. And I feel that there's a lot of businesses that are experiencing that right now. I think you could all agree with that. It's just a matter of finding what works for you and for your team is key. So yeah, we've run through quite a bit.
We have milkshakes on special today. If anybody would like to help me out and get one to go. Anybody?
What flavors?
Strawberry, chocolate, and vanilla. It would really help me out.
I'll take one.
Okay, chocolate.
Sold.
Vanilla.
Vanilla.
Come on, all have a milkshake.
Strawberry. Strawberry. You got it.
All right. What other questions do you have for me? Any? Yes, please.
Can you go back to eating cows and pigs and lady elephants?
I love my elephants. It's okay.
Don't eat elephants.
All right. Well, thank you. Yes, Rick?
I just wanted to point out that one of the things that I noticed was listening to this was very much like some of the things that I listened to and some of the things that I taught on customer acquisition and retention and how closely the branding part is. And that's what a lot of people do miss.
Yeah.
Is that this whole thing, people you hire, the people you keep, that's all part of your branding. That's
Yes.
part of your sales machine.
For sure.
And that they're really very, very closely tied together. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if you'll get your lucky tickets out, we'll do the drawing. I have 8 fabulous prizes.